Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the UFOcast as Captain Scarlet, the final episode. We have reached the end, the Inquisition. Now, as I said last week, I was expecting to end this disappointed on a low note, and whilst the Inquisition is never going to be anybody's favourite episode of Captain Scarlet, well, maybe. If it is your favourite episode of Captain Scarlet, write in and let me know. It wasn't as bad this time round as I remembered. So I didn't see this originally when Captain Scarlet was repeated in the 90s and I saw it as a kid. We definitely saw Attack on Cloud Base, and then we missed this. I don't know why, but as happens, you miss it, you don't see it again until the advent of... Well, no, I say we had video recorders. We didn't tape it. For whatever reason, we didn't tape it. It wasn't broadcast again for a while. So I didn't see this until DVD, and it was disappointing because it's the clip show episode, which is something that other J. Anderson shows have done. Thunderbirds did it, Stingray did it. No doubt others did it. So it's disappointing from that respect. But having said that, I suppose I focused on the framing plot, as it were, and it's fine. The idea of building a replica cloud base to interrogate Captain Blue in and hope that he will spill the beans is quite a nice idea. I suppose it's quite fitting that you have the Sam Loover puppet, what will become the Sam Loover puppet, voiced by Shane Weston's voice, as a sort of almost segue into Joe 90, which is what came next. That's quite nice from that perspective. Yeah, and obviously the opening piano track gives Barry Gray another chance to compose a nice piano piece and to set up the episode. Was the waiter a Mistron? We'll never know. I mean, and that genuine kind of like, oh, you've been away for 3 months, kind of the lie that they try to sell him, and then the stories that he tells. Let's talk about the three. Big Ben strikes again. It's slightly odd, I suppose, that they choose the setup of that episode to show. I have a weird recollection that they had incorporated the end bit and it wasn't there, and I was slightly like, oh, did I just imagine that was the clip that was shown? But no, it was the setup of the episode, which was fine. And then you have a bit from Kratos 101, which is great. I mean, if you're going to pick an episode of Captain Scarlet to talk about, then that's a good one. And then The Trap, again, 2 episodes that I really like. So to be kind of sat down and watch the sort of edited highlights, actually I was like, oh, fair enough, that's I'm enjoying this a lot more than I remembered. And then the bit that I really like, I'm assuming that what you see from the outside is the actual cloud-based set, the back of the actual cloud-based set, because obviously it's in the actual cloud-based set. Like, they didn't build a separate cloud base in reality. They were just like, for plot reasons, this is a copy of Cloudbase, but clearly they filmed it on their Cloudbase set. And then the fact that he jumps out of the window, and here's the question of like, did Captain Blue was he committing suicide, or had he genuinely seen out the window and realised that it was a fake at that point? I don't know. But then jumping out onto a backdrop, which again must have been the actual backdrop that was used in real life to make the show. So it gets all kind of meta. I mean, in a way that is done in a much more prolonged way when you get to Mindbender and UFO, but this is essentially a little taster of that. The sort of stiffness with which the Captain Blue puppet slides down slightly spoils the effect, but I like that kind of essentially, it's within the episode itself, a very brief aspect of behind the scenes. So, much better than I was expecting from my recollection. Certainly a perfectly fine Captain Scarlet episode. And as clip shows go, yeah, fair enough. Is it a fitting end to the series? Well, no, it's not. But I'm not sure what would have been a fitting end to the series. Obviously, Attack on Cloud Base, as we talked about last week, if they'd played that for real, would have been, I suppose, a suitable and really dark ending of like, no, this is the end. Spectrum have been destroyed. Captain Scarlet has been killed. He is no longer indestructible. Some kind of ceasefire? I don't know. I don't know what would have been an appropriate ending to Captain Scarlet. We didn't get one that is satisfying as far as the story goes. I suppose it ends with the war goes on, basically. This is a fight that we're not going to see the end of. So in that sense, I suppose it works as an ending. And I suppose it's not as if Jerry Anderson shows are, or any show really, back then was building to a finale in the way that shows do today. I mean, obviously, The Prisoner has a very specific finale, and that's contemporary to this. But I suppose, yeah, you don't expect I suppose Joe 90 has one in the sense of the birthday is like he's now 10, so does he become Joe 100? But yeah, there's no real sense of finality to any Jerry Anderson show, I don't think. It is what it is. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did before. And it's nice to have gone through Captain Scarlet again and largely enjoyed it. I mean, as I listen back to these and edit them, I hope I don't come across too moany on the ones that I disliked or for a prolonged series of episodes. Let's do our final look at the things that we've been looking at for episode order. Well, this is the consistent one. It is episode 32 on the Blu-ray and the DVD and the VHS. I didn't notice any new Mistron powers in this one. Mistron still at large? Well, definitely not. Colgan gets blown to smithereens. And it's a final win for Spectrum. And we will add Colgan to the Mr. On Puppet gallery on the website, so do head over to ufocast.co.uk. As I end, I am not promising anything. I do have Joe 90 on Blu-ray. I will be wanting to watch that. Will I be wanting to podcast through it as I have done with Captain Scarlet? I don't know. By the time this goes out, I'm sure I will have made a decision about that, and so future me, who's editing this, might be able to add something on at this point. But for now, thank you for being with me on this journey through Captain Scarlet. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you as to what you think, and I will see you again soon with something else. Hello, future Luke here, with some final thoughts. My review of The Inquisition was recorded on the 27th of May 2022, when I finally finished rewatching Captain Scarlet. Looking back, I can see that I started recording on the 29th of February 2020, literally weeks before lockdown, and on that date I recorded an introduction plus the first 3 episodes of this podcast, and then it took me 2 years and 3 months to finish recording. And as you have heard, it's then taken another while to edit and then release these episodes. And barring, I think, 1 week where we had a break, these have been coming into your ears weekly, which I'm quite pleased with that has happened. Thank you to everybody who volunteered to be a Spectrum agent. Sorry to those of you who volunteered way back when, and then when I tried to get hold of you, I couldn't get hold of you. That has been a great shame. I know that in future, if I do something similar, I will get people to volunteer and record straight away and bank those for future reference. I actually had a comment this week about doing a retrospective at the end of this and commenting on the world of Captain Scarlet. I think at this point my brain is not in a place to kind of really do that justice. Yes, I'm just finding that comment now, and somebody wanted a more in-depth look at geopolitics of 2068, of which we only get little glimpses per episode. And I have sort of talked about that as we've gone. I'm sure that others who have a more in-depth knowledge of the series would be better placed to do that. All I will say at this point is just that it is a fascinating world to contemplate. The idea of Spectrum, the different political leaders that we come across the series, that all go into making the detailed world of Captain Scarlet. I will reiterate that I have largely enjoyed the series. There are probably episodes that I have been too harsh on. There are definitely episodes that I have let off the hook. And should I watch them all again at some point, I will have different feelings about them. But I will not be podcasting about them again. The next time I watch Captain Scarlet, it will just be for the pure pleasure of it. And I just thank you all for being on this journey with me, those of you who have listened. Downloads are to be believed. A few hundred people have listened to each episode. So hello to all of you. And I genuinely would love to hear from more of you. If you have any comments, do please post them on the website, ufocast.co.uk, or on the YouTube channel if that's where you're listening to this podcast. So all I have left to say is to give you more of an update than past Luke from May last year could give you. Recording on the Prisoner podcast that I've been working on has stalled somewhat. We haven't recorded one of those for quite a while, but there are only 4 left to do. I still have pretty much all of them to edit, but most of my time in editing has been taken up with these podcasts. So if you are solely an Anderson fan, I'm sorry that the next thing going into your ears pretty much will be The Prisoner. though Michael and I might be doing a preview of the new UFO box set from Big Finish that comes out very soon as you're listening to this. I have also watched about half of Joe 90, and I have been recording podcasts for that, as I have with Captain Scarlet. Now, as you know, from the timescale of this one, it will be a long time before your ears start to hear those. But I would hope I would be slightly quicker at finishing the recordings and starting editing those. But I will keep you posted. Joe 90 is definitely coming. It will be a while. If any of you want to be win agents for that and contribute, then do please message me. If I feel that there's enough interest, then I will try and set that up in the same way I did for this podcast. And I will be back in your ears as soon as I possibly can